What up, y'all? So today I wanted to talk a little bit. I had a thought when I was at work today, and I was thinking about how I've never really spoken, I guess, publicly spoken, about my time and my experience at Berklee College of Music. So I thought might be a good time to do it now. So I thought it might be a good time to just talk about it now. So I guess initially, I applied to Berklee in 2004 uh, when I was still in high school. It was my senior year. I was playing trombone and bassoon and applied to Berklee as a trombone player. I didn't get very far in the application process. I mean, I applied, but they didn't accept me in any way. So graduated high school, went to community college. I went to Nova here in Virginia, and got I knew I needed to get a handful of classes out of the way that were just going to be there anyway, regardless of what I wanted to do. So got those out of the way, science and math and things like that. And on a whim one day, I applied again years later as a bass player. I grew up playing guitar, and through a series of events, became a bass player out of necessity, and more or less taught myself how to play the bass. Like I said, I had played guitar for a handful of years prior to that. I had taught myself how to do that. So one thing I will say though, even then I did understand that you couldn't just be a guitar player and pick up the bass and then be a true bass player. Bass and guitar in a band serve different roles, and you have to understand what those roles are. So anyways, I applied on a whim to Berklee as a bass player, and sent along some recordings that I had done with groups that I was playing at the time. And I got a response. They accepted me. They wanted me to come and audition. And I can't remember at which point this next thing happened. I think it was, I think it wasn't at this point. I think I told my parents that I had applied, and they accepted me and wanted me to come in and do an audition. An interesting thing, what I found out years later, that was the last year, as far as I understand, that was the last year that Berklee did auditions to entrance auditions, I guess, to get in, right? So I got on the Amtrak, and we went up to Boston, and I did the audition. Went through the whole process. The whole, I guess, maybe people want to know about that process. It's all kind of foggy to me at this point. You have your initial, like, you got to show up at this place and, have paperwork and all this. It's just like normal, I guess. But then you go in, and then you have an interview. They interview you, and they talk to you about what you've been up to as far as your music and what you want to do and your aspirations and things like that. So you do that. Then you get shuttled along to some other room where you have, I can't remember which was first, but you had a you had to do it. Oh no, this was different. Sorry, I'm all over the place, but because there was a lot that happened that whole day, and then subsequent days. So right, so you go in, you have an interview, and then they take you into another room where you have your audition. And when I was there, they wanted you to have a prepared piece, and then they were going to put music in front of you and have you sight read it. So being that I hadn't spent many years playing bass, and I certainly hadn't spent hardly any time reading music for the bass, like sheet music. Obviously, I could read bass clef from playing trombone and bassoon and things like that, but having the knowledge to translate that to a different instrument, I hadn't spent a whole lot of time. So anyways, I basically I blew the sight reading part. I didn't do very well. So, but the prepared piece, I remember I played Victor Wooten's The Vision, and I had spent at least a year playing it before, and then when I decided to use that as my prepared piece, I spent a lot of time like really digging in and trying to get it exact, the way that it was on the record, and have it be like clean and crisp and everything. So I got it as good as I thought I could get it, and went in and did the audition. When that part came up, they asked me what I was going to do, and I said, well, I'm going to play The Vision by Victor Wooten. And they said, and this is the part that kind of floored me, they said, who? And I was thinking to myself, what do you mean, who? It's Victor Wooten. What do you... He does clinic... At the time, he had done clinics, probably the year prior to me being there. I don't... It was difficult to rebound from that, I guess, in the conversation we were having, because I didn't want to sound like, oh, whatever. But so they didn't, I guess, these two guys hadn't heard Victor Wooten, certainly hadn't heard the song, and they were just kind of like blown away, just maybe not so much about my technique. I don't know. I'm trying to be a little humble here, but that's what got me in. That's what got me through the audition, was being able to play The Vision. Because I didn't do very well in the sight reading. So after that, I had a really good feeling after that. After their reaction to my prepared piece. So you walk out and they have you. I think it was. Man, I don't remember was it the 9th? No, I forget the building numbers, but we were in a specific building. So they walk you back to like this main room, and apparently my mom told me that I had like this shit-eating grin on my face when I came around the corner, just because I felt so confident about the whole thing. So fast forward to a couple months later, I get a letter from Berklee telling me that they are accepting me to the college and giving me the steps that I have to take to get through admissions and stuff like that. So I didn't tell anyone that I got in, that they accepted me, for at least 2 months or something silly like that. I don't know why. I think maybe I was just kind of, I had lots of apprehension about the whole thing, because but yeah, so get in, and then we have to think about how we're going to finance it, right? This is like the main thing here, I guess. The linchpin of my experience here. So I had to figure out a way to finance it on my own, because I had a difficult time going. I didn't qualify for any financial aid, so it was, I had to figure it out. So I had my aunt co-sign a student loan for my first semester there, $20,000. $20,000, that's not a year or 2 years or your entire time there. That's one semester. So I lived on campus, so that was room and board, and they gave you paid for a MacBook Pro. We all got 15-inch MacBook Pros, loaded with all kinds of software that we were going to need for classes and stuff like that, which I still have. It kind of works still. But so I get in, right? I get the student loan, get up there, and honestly, it was probably one of the best experiences that I've had in my musical life, I guess to say. I met so many people, and I made friendships that I still have today. I still talk to many people that I went to school with, and have crossed the country twice in pursuit of things with Berklee people involved. And I had a great time at during that first semester. It was amazing. So I started in the summer semester, right? So it was summertime. We were all there. A buddy of mine that was from Scotland, after we had like a couple weeks break or whatever, so he couldn't fly home, so he came down to Virginia with me. And we hung out, went to a festival, and we played some gigs and stuff. The whole time I'm thinking, okay, like, what am I gonna do about financing the second semester, you know? So I couldn't ask my aunt to co-sign another loan. So I had to figure out what I was gonna do. So I applied for another loan. One thing that I will say here, you should be very wary of borrowing money from family, right? I don't want to give a whole lot of details, but I borrowed some money from kind of like, I don't know. I borrowed some money from one of my relatives, right? And tried to get the other half of the $20,000 for the next semester. Initially, I had some thoughts and concerns about what that was paying for. It was difficult. I think I remember it was difficult at the time to get an itemized list of what that was paying for, because last semester, the first semester, was $20,000. That was room and board. That was, you know, for your classes, paying for your classes, and your laptop, right? So $20,000 covers all of that. So the next bill was $20,000, and I was thinking, so am I getting another laptop? Like, what? Why is it the exact same amount? And I remember it was, like I said, it was difficult to get an itemized list. I never got confirmation as to what it was. This whole thing gets really squirrely here. So I go back with my friend to school, right? We take the train up there. So trying to remember what exactly happened. So I just go to classes because I had signed up for all my classes. There was some money that was given to the college, right? The money that I borrowed, but I was still waiting on confirmation from the loan company whether they were going to give me this loan. And it was taking a while. There's a reason why it was taking a while. I'll get into that. So I'm going to classes like I'm just being normal, second semester, and eventually I get this either email or letter, communication from admissions, I think it was, saying that they hadn't received the rest of the money, right? Or maybe I can't remember what department it was, but anyways, they hadn't received all their money, right? So they were upset that they wanted their money. I was like, okay, well, I sent in all the stuff and I contacted the, so at that point I contacted the loan company and was like, hey, like, just wanted to know, like, what's going on with, are you going to approve this loan? And they didn't know what I was talking about. What I eventually found out through lots of frustration was that I needed to fax the loan application to the people, right? So I went into one of the offices, student financial aid or whatever. I can't remember whether it was admissions or whatever it was. I went into this office, the Berklee office, and it's like, I need you to fax this to this number, yada yada. Turns out, because this office or department was run by students, everyone in there were students for the most part that I remember. They didn't know how to use a fax machine, apparently. They had faxed it upside down or something. The fax never got to who it was supposed to get to, so my application never went through. So I eventually, through again, lots of frustration and patience, got it sent out. and that they finally got back to me and said that they weren't going to give me a loan. This was 2008. So the whole financial collapse that happened in that time frame, I think had something to do with me not being able to get another loan. I'm not exactly sure. There were lots of factors here. The fact that I felt like the college just wanted their money and weren't really gonna help me at all with anything until they had gotten their money. The people that were supposed to be helping me in these offices were students and didn't know what they were doing. So fast forward a little bit, maybe a week or so, several communications from admissions and all these other people because I'm not going to be able to get this loan. They were upset about the whole thing. I was upset about the whole thing. So I decided, because no one seemed to be able to help me either in financial aid or whatever, that I was just going to withdraw from all my classes and go home. And it was a hard decision to make, but financially I didn't really have a choice. I tried everything that I could as far as financial aid went and getting a loan. I borrowed money from family, and it didn't work out. So as I'm withdrawing from my classes and doing all this, there's some paperwork I have to sign and turn into an office, right? So I go into this office that I've been in, mind you, several times already throughout this whole process. I've seen all of these people, these students that are working this office. Right? So they know who I am. They should be aware of my situation. I get in there and I'm like, okay, I got to turn in this paperwork. I'm withdrawing from my classes. Just need to turn this in, yada yada. And they all of a sudden, it's like they woke up and was like, "Wait, you're leaving?" And they were. It seemed it was so strange, with so much complacency and just indifference the entire time. Now all of a sudden they were super concerned that I was leaving, that I had to give up my college education at this school. They were super concerned all of a sudden and were trying to tell me what I needed to do to get, and I'm like, no, I've done all of that. I did that after finding that out on my own because you all would not help me. So I'm leaving the school. Thank you so much. And I walked out. So, get all my stuff together, figure out how I'm going to get home. Finally, I take the train. So I get home and I get a letter from Berklee saying that, because what I needed to do was attempt to get the money that I paid already, that I had borrowed from family, get that back, get that refunded. Because I was able to withdraw within whatever time frame that they had for withdrawals, and they didn't want to give me all the money back because I had stayed in the dorms and eaten the meal, like the meal plan, and taken a handful, gone to class for a couple weeks. They wanted to keep all of that money to cover all of that. So it was like this heated back and forth trying to get the money back. It ends up that I was able to get back, I think, 90% of it, 95% of it back. And yeah, the fact that I couldn't get it all back was an issue, So I don't know. Obviously people have different experiences in life, doing the same thing as somebody else, right? And they have completely different experiences. I know some of my friends that were able to stay had a great time there. I know some that didn't. I know many that go that have gone and didn't complete their degree. I know a handful of people that have. Ultimately, it was a great experience for me. If I had gone into it with other expectations and other ideas, maybe it would have come out even a little better, maybe. I don't want to make it sound like Berklee was a terrible experience for me. It really wasn't. It was one of the main like formative moments or time frames in my musical upbringing. I learned a lot, not only from my instructors, but from the people that I met there, and being able to perform with those people. It was a lot of fun. Would I do it again? Absolutely not. At least not the way that I did it. I have very strong feelings about colleges and universities nowadays, outside of political, indoctrination or whatever you think. They're a business. They're a business, and they care about their money. You can't go there if you don't pay them, or if somebody doesn't pay them. So ultimately that's my biggest complaint, was that I felt like I was kind of ignored for multiple reasons, that some of which I didn't go over today. But yeah, I don't know. I don't know that I would do it again. I would like the experience of meeting those people, because they really changed my life, and a lot of great things happened from meeting those people. A lot of great connections and stuff. So yeah, take this for what it is. I just wanted to talk about it, because I've never really talked much about it. I don't think even with the people that I know from Berklee, I don't know that I've explained very much about it, like why I had to leave, stuff like that. So thanks for listening, y'all. Have a great day. Peace.